the exciting work that we're involved in here at Realcast. I'd like to introduce you to our founder and CEO, Nino Sapina.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here and to share with you some experiences in our work.
Excellent. So what we're going to do is go back a little bit to our initial beginnings and talk mostly about where we're going, and very interested at the end to have some question and answer with all of you. But first, a brief introduction.
Yeah, so let me present myself and our co-founders, which are Diego and Craig. So we built a company 3 years ago, and before that we worked for long years in the video games industry. So we were the creators of Just Dance, which is a very famous dancing game. Even if I'm not a big dancer, we succeeded to attract many players there, gamers. And also we worked in humanoid robotics. So we work on interactions between the humans and robots, which is obviously very technical and also very challenging technically and in terms of accessibility and ergonomics. So after that, we decided to go to the augmented reality. We saw that there was a huge potential with this new technology about new way to interact between the humans and the technologies. And we really see that many things could be done much more easier thanks to the augmented reality or mixed reality than with the physical robots or the 2D screens. So that was the main reason to go much quicker into the interaction between the users and technology.
Yeah, and I had a very different background, working in schools for nearly 2 decades, and most recently as Dean of the American School of Paris. And I remember 3 years ago going for coffee with Nino and Nino talking about the potential of augmented reality in learning, and just getting so excited about the future of learning with these technologies that I became very excited to join Diego and Nino. Nino's quite modest. Just Dance, as you may know, is one of the most successful game franchises in history. If you have young children, as I do, you know how much even today it's being enjoyed. But Nino, you also had background in humanoid robots, and want to make sure we mention that. So this idea of human-computer interaction was very much your life's work, and the ability to bring that into the immersive reality space, I think, is incredibly exciting.
I can describe a little bit about what we work on and some experience that we've built so far. So this is a lot of text, so you should not read, but globally we have developed a solution it's collaborative, that use interactivity in this new media, which means enable people to move between the reality and the virtual world and be able to interact together and with holograms. For us, it's very important that we are inclusive to all kind of audience. We are bringing that from the B2C experiences, and since now we have very different kind of users, children, elderly people, all of course technical people, but also not technical one. We also want to enable this experience to be deployed anywhere, which means any kind of space can be augmented and can be shared and could be replicated. So this is the power of this technology. And finally, we developed also the way that we are engaging people in our script, in our scenarios. So we built different kind of scenario which all have a same level of interaction. They have also a specific way to interact with the virtual characters. We found out that virtual characters are really helping a lot human users to be comfortable and to be in emotional relation between the virtual and the real world. And you will see from my experience that I will share a little bit later that it's really a key part. And we realize that the potential is huge because this technology is even more accessible than the phones or tablets or things that everybody uses today, but some generations or some type of users doesn't and have still difficulties to use. And thanks to the mixed reality headsets, the interaction is even more easier than with the phones. So we believe that when this technology becomes accessible in terms of cost and the size, the adoption rate will be very high. Obviously, we are bringing the fun from the video games, and this is very important, not just to have fun, but also to engage people, to attract them and to be able to learn while also having interesting experience and shareable, because fun is based of interaction, and that's very important to be able to create that inside of any kind of experience. And in June 2018, they had a very special and very successful exhibit about Asian phantoms, which was a little bit scary, but also completely different from traditional expos, and it brought a lot of thousands of people to this exposition. And they asked us to build experience in the library of the museum, which is on the last floor of the museum. And we created something that is kind of the game that used the exhibit elements and puts people in the situation to chase these phantoms, like a Ghostbusters, but with the Asian phantoms in this special place. And as you can see, it's in the middle of the night because it was an experience that was lasted all night and the day after. And you can see the visitors who had HoloLenses and who were exploring this library, who was completely transformed by augmenting and adding these kind of phantoms. And they were able to chase, to see each other, but see the phantoms at the same time, and to grab them and to collect them at the end of the experience. So in one night, we had like 700 people having this experience with HoloLens. So it was very, very intense experience that launched our vision about what could be done in this media.
It was amazing that this was an experience that was running all through the night into the wee hours of the morning, and the line just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Seeing people's reactions was really, really cool.
On other kind of experience, which are always bringing something new. So, for example, the one that we built in a very famous castle in France, which is Chamarande. It's a story about the history of the castle through several centuries. And with this experience, we added a collaborative work, which means that visitors could build the castle together during the 15 minutes of the experience and learn all about the history and help each other to build this castle. And we found out that the fact that they are in the same situation, sharing the same virtual space, and enable each other to help. Especially, for example, we had some people who are like children or young people are very easy understanding new technologies, so they were helping others. And so this is an experience that happens, that is installed in the Museum of the Liberation of Paris, which is in Denfert Rochereau Square, which is well known because there are catacombs just nearby. So many visitors, many tourists are coming to visit the catacombs, and this is at the same place, just across the street. In which experience we really built a lot of new features from video game inside of the augmented reality, mixed reality media. And the purpose is really to understand what happened at this particular time and what was happening in Paris at that moment. So as you know, the Paris was liberated by the Allied troops in August 25th, 1944. And it was a huge event for France and the establishment of a new state after the war. Of course, very important. But there was also some secret things that happened before arrival of Allied troops. So the resistance was working in the underground of this Denfert Rochereau Square in the specific bunker that was built for bombing between the two wars. And they used this place to organize the resistance and to help Allied troops to get and to communicate with all the different networks of resistance in Paris. So they were in a very hidden place. So we had a plan. We had archive movies that shows how they worked, because the archive movie was done just after the liberation. So it was very, very accurate. So we could use all the information that was from this movie, and knowing that today in this place there is absolutely nothing, so you cannot see anything today. So the target for the museum was how to show to the people what happened there in the place that there was nothing anymore. And obviously mixed reality is the best answer we can bring. So this is the museum, brand new, and this is you are going down to this bunker. We are mixing the edit with the archive movie, so you can see the difference. And so you can see the holograms that are placed in the exact positions of the resistance and who are talking to the visitors and who are explaining what they are doing. And you are really playing the role of journalists who was living at that time. So you are living the history of that moment, and you are really engaged into this story. And as you see, you can take a photo of this chief of the resistance, was the Paul Role, and you can write notes to be sent to your newspaper. And so it means after the 25 minutes of experience, you know many things about what happened at that time and how they really worked as I would say, very physical experience. So we had great feedbacks from the users, and I can share also a little bit of how we built that. So we work with a technology that enables us to scan the characters. So we use the real actors that was with the costumes of the time. and we put them in a 3D. We use the motion capture to capture all the movements like you would do for a video game, for example. And of course, we built a scenario that is not only linear, but enables visitors to go in different ways, different paths, and which is very helpful for this location, because we don't want everybody to be in the same place. And by having different paths, people could visit location in different ways. And you have, as I said before, we have this virtual guide, which is one soldier, the one that you can see at the top left, which is guiding you through whole experience. So he's getting you at the start, he's telling you what you have to do, and you have to follow him through whole experience. If you get lost for some reason, he will get back to you and he will bring you to the place you have to do something to understand what happened there. And this is really a key point, because there is no necessity to explain anything else, that just leave people with experience to do the experience alone or together. So we had 5,000 visitors. Now we have more than 5,000 visitors. Obviously, COVID situation a little bit stops this experience, but it will be open this month. And this is bringing different audiences to this museum. We won already 2 prizes for this work, and we released also HoloLens 2 version at the end of February, which brings obviously better quality of the image, but also natural gestures with a hand.
So really, these early use cases related to history and culture provided a very interesting proof of concept, but the thinking more and more became around how might these technologies help collaborative teams to do interesting work together around in experiential ways, and around the types of experiences that are going to add the most value to the work that they're doing. And with that, we began thinking more and more about KubeCast, the platform.
Yeah, so this is really for us kind of natural evolution. Since we built this different experience that I showed you, we have been asked by visitors who was also people who work in different companies. They were interested to say, are very intrigued about the capacity of a user to learn with this new technique. And we realized that we built a set of interaction tools and a whole setup that enables to the users to learn very quickly very different topics that are very complex. So the KubeCast is a platform that puts this in place with different features that we built in past experiences. So this is kind of complex slide, but you can see that there is a kind of cube that could be different size, and that it's multi-device. So it works on HoloLens, it works with iOS, it works with Oculus. Today we are working already. Our whole team has meetings with this KubeCast cube to have an everyday meeting in the morning, and we are connecting together in the room of one of the developers, and we are talking about what to do, and we also can interact with some objects. The purpose is that this kind of platform will provide different experiences that use all the same interaction, all the same AI that leads the user through the experience, and that serves different use cases that we have identified as very important with our clients, which means that it's immersive learning. So it's instead of you learning history, you will learn how to work on some topic, or how to manage your team, how to learn some different use cases that I can show you right away. And it's also very easy to track and to organize this kind of session with this kind of tool. So I can show you a little bit of different kind of use case. Of course, we have games. As I said, we are coming from games, and the game is very important. As you know, many companies already are sending their employees to have a game escape room experiences in the real world, and this is enabling them to do that at home, not at home, but at the company. So this is one of the content that is deployed by the KubeCast. Another type of content is very much more serious. It's about, for example, nuclear decommissioning. So we build an experience that explains to you in 15 minutes, very, very complex industrial process about how to dismantle a nuclear installation, and explains to you what is the radiation, and how it works on a specific site, and why it's important, and what is important for the future. So this is completely different subjects, but use the same tools for the interaction and the understanding of different subjects. And lastly, which is also a very important part for us, it's about about the team management, team building. So we are working on the coaching scenarios to be part of the CubeCast to help teams to work together. So, for example, we are working with a basketball setting, which we find very interesting and very powerful to talk about the team values. And one of our scenarios about the team values. So any team needs the values to succeed, to share, to understand. And by going through this experience, you will be led and you will be able to choose the values of your team and to apply them then in daily work later. So you can see there are very different topics that could be explained with the same technology, with the same interaction, with the same media, because this is a new media, and we are very happy to see that it's so widely adaptable to many different situations and use cases.
Yeah, as you say, this is very much a new volumetric media. And the two use cases you show here, which are quite different, show the value it can bring. So in the case of nuclear decommissioning, a 2D video or certainly text is not going to enable us to understand sort of the dimensions, the complexities, and the context of that work, of that facility, of what it looks like. It requires a volumetric, at scale sort of experience. And in the case of coaching for more of these soft skills or these more human skills, what that looks like, and I don't think there's any organization that doesn't see the incredible value and importance of these skills, but what it normally looks like is a coach coming into a facility face-to-face. It doesn't scale, it's highly expensive, it takes away from other tasks and productivity time, and the opportunity using XR to provide shared experiences that are bringing people together in a real way, in a way that Zoom is not capable of, is incredibly powerful and interesting going forward. So this is, I think, in terms of XR coaching, one of the most interesting areas right now in terms of content.
Right. So maybe we can speak a little bit about the future. So we could also give some thoughts for our audience to inspire and maybe to ask some questions later. So I think that we are really at the very beginning of this media, and obviously many companies are trying to bring their own solution, and that's completely normal, and it's very creative part of this industry, and we are very happy to work in that. So I'm very interested also to hear the experience of other companies to see if they have the same conclusions or if they have same thoughts about the future use cases or the application of this media to the enterprise and obviously to the B2C later. I really believe that this will change the way we work, we live, and it's just a question of time and a question of steps to go there. So obviously the B2B, it's the way to go today, and it's very important because it could be very useful for the companies. And I think they need that because they need new way to work, they need new way to engage their users. And I think this is a kind of perfect solution.
So Nino, just to make sure that everyone understands, the idea in building this platform is that it is it's hardware agnostic, right? So for example, you can be in Paris with a HoloLens 2 and I can be in New York with an Oculus, and we can have engineers in Italy who are on, HTC. So how does that work exactly? In terms of your morning meetings, our morning meetings, which we've talked about, is that working well?
Yeah, sure. It's because we found out that obviously Teams or Zoom work very well and it's necessary, and we don't want to replace these tools because they have their use and we are using them every day as well. But at some point, you need to do more than that. You need to engage yourself physically into the relation with other users. And today, one way is to be together, but obviously that's not easy today, and it's not always practical. And then by getting together in the same virtual space and having the possibility to move your hands, to manipulate the objects, to look at the person, to see from where the sound is coming, to write on the virtual board, you are adding the interaction layer that engage the user much more than just talking and seeing the flat screen. And this is necessary for the for the work more than just the communication, which means that we can have a virtual team in front of us and we can do that together. And this is not possible to do in a 2D. And this is what we are doing. Sometimes it needs a little bit more preparation, but the outcome is much more valuable. And so that's why we believe that this is the way to go, because it brings the value of having a concrete and physical interaction.
And we know there's much research to back this up, that interactive experiences that have sort of gamified components are very powerful for learning, but also in terms of forming a team, having shared experiences is absolutely critical. And it's very difficult to develop those types of shared experiences through, two-dimensional platforms. So we do believe, especially now that COVID has accelerated this process, that more and more teams will be distributed, and that designing experiences that bring them together in contexts that are enriching their common work is going to be very much what the future of work looks like. Is there something, if we look forward even more, if we think about where technology might be a year from now or 2 years from now, what are you most excited about in terms of what will be possible that might not be today?
I think I'm the most excited about the fact that we can add the non-technical users to this kind of technology. And this is the key, because of course, all the geeks knows everything about the technology, and they are there. And that's necessary. But the day when we succeed to bring that to the people who are not tech geeks but has great expertise in use cases like medicine, like people who are building things with their hands, people who have different skills, and then they can apply that to the virtual reality. In this moment, we will see the real return on investment and the usefulness for them. And this is what we are trying to bring with this interaction in the virtual world. As you said, we don't care. The technology is just a mean. It's not the purpose. It's just the way. It's a tool. It's very important for us to know how to work with that. But it will evolve to the time. Today, as you said, we are multi-platform. We are HoloLens. We are VR. We are iOS. Tomorrow, there are other devices that will come. And which is most important, to have this good, easy language to use this technology to be able to work with and to create the value and to ease your work with other people. This is the most important for us.
Yes, and very, very important. I'm glad you mentioned it, that this is also designed to become an authoring platform. And in the beginning, we are creating highly produced experiences to prove the platform and we believe provide model across different industries. But ultimately, people will be able to create their own experiences is the idea.
Sure, yeah, because we realize that to create one experience, it takes time. It's a cost. So obviously, there is a value. But for many users, they would like also to create their own experience because they have their own use cases they would like to build, and they have their needs. And now we know what is necessary to build one experience. We have even the modules and the templates that we know that it works. For example, if you want to make a presentation, we know how to make a presentation with PowerPoint. It takes several steps. There are choices to be done, and it could be adapted to many different subjects. And so this is something that we are building to enable other people to create their own presentations, their own tools to work on their own subjects. And as you said, this is the part of the CubeCast to enable any user to create the content to work in extended reality.
Excellent. Well, we do have some time now. We're very interested in your questions, so you can share those now, and we will happy to have this last part more interactive.
Yeah, thanks, Craig, for this talk. And yeah, let's leave some time for the questions if there are.